All right, so I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm gonna make this recording for a Maya session. We are now looking at Kaiku. When you see, if you look at this geometry, when I zoom out, I am having issues with it. That's typically solved with the camera. In the camera, I can go to the attributes editor. You'll see that this Maya sessions, I'm assuming that you guys are experts in Maya. So you have to kind of follow as quickly as you can with the progress. And the idea is that by this trial of fire, sí, yo la veo ahí que dice Isabel Acre. Well, anyways, sorry about that. The idea, again, is that you guys can learn to use Maya by jumping into the deep end. Okay, so typically when you have too many polygons, the camera is trying to figure that out, right? So what we do in this case is to select the camera, we go to the views for menu, we select the camera through which we're looking at, and the near clip plane is set to 0.1 centimeters. Everything in Maya must be measured in centimeters. And so instead of saying that, it means that the camera is looking at every 0.1 centimeter. So when you're looking at a large geometry, then that's clearly, you're asking too much from the GPU. So basically, instead of saying 0.1, let's just look at every 1 centimeters. And you see already that's looking much better. And you can see that we can go in and out of the camera, zoom in and zoom out, and the geometry looks better. So we just imported this model that Riam worked in. She did it in FBX as a file format, which is a very efficient way, a very efficient format of exchanging information between softwares. So this model wasn't produced in Maya, it was produced in 3ds Max. So she exported it to FBX. So FBX. It's a good format for you guys to look at when we're doing that. So FBX. FBX is I like XBX a lot because we can share camera positions, and you can also share materials between the file format. And yeah, it's one of the best formats instead of OBJ or the other ones. If it's possible between the softwares, FBX is the way to go. Okay, so now we can see that there's an issue with what you see with the black. I wonder if you can see what I'm doing. Hope so. Okay, there's you see that the geometry looks dark, right? And that's typical when you have the normals of a geometry are facing inwards. Normals should face outwards, meaning that each polygon, so if this is a face, the normal should be facing outwards, not inwards. And when a geometry is facing, the normals are facing inwards, Maya displays it as black. And you see, so that you can identify that there's an issue with this geometry. So what we need to do is reverse the normals, right? And we do that by going to mesh display. Yeah, they keep changing the location of this thing. So they now put it in mesh. Let's mesh this. Yeah, here we go. So mesh display, and we click on reverse. That didn't solve it. If that doesn't solve it, then, well, there's a few things that we can do. We can check the direction. See, the normals are facing outwards. So if we go to display polygons and we click on normal size, that's 0.4 centimeters, right? So if we make that 1 centimeter, you can see that better. So let's make that 10 centimeters. You see that that is now, we know that the normals are correct, right? It's very important that the normals are facing outwards, because it's about exteroception and proprioception. And you might be wondering, what's that? Exteroception is your capacity to know what's external to your body. And thus, if you have exteroception and proprioception, then you know what's internal to your body and what's external to the body. And that is controlled by the face normal. So the face normal needs to be pointing outwards to the exterior of the body. And that's how geometry knows what's external to its entity. And we can see that this geometry is correct. So if we click on the other one, you can clearly see that the normals are facing inwards, meaning that each polygon, instead of knowing where its exterior is, all the normals are pointing inwards. And the issue with that, especially at Atmanox, is that you won't be able to print it correctly. That's a huge issue that must be corrected. So again, we go to mesh display, we click on reverse, and that solves it. But for you to check it again, you go to display polygons, face normals size. And again, you give that 10 centimeters. And now you can see that that is fixed. The issue that we're having is that you still look at the geometry as black. We know that now that's not an issue to do with the normals. It's more of an issue to do with materials. And to fix that, we're just going to apply a material to this object. And so we open up the hypershade. In Maya, we control all materials with the hypershade. And so we select the object and we click on this icon here. That will let us know that it's what we're having on that object is a surface shader. That's why we're not getting any shadows or any ambient occlusion on that geometry, because a surface shader is not the appropriate material for us to view it. So instead, we are going to apply another material to this. And so basically we just go down here and let's just apply a Lambert material to this. And now we see that we have the Lambert here. And assign existing material, we click on Lambert 2. We're gonna delete the history of this object, delete all by type history, because if you realize we have too many things going on over here. So we're just going to delete by type history. And the Lambert 2 is meant to be gray, right? We're still looking at this in black, which is interesting because the normals are facing outwards. Let's just click and check. We might have another issue that it might be that the geometry is being duplicated, like each face might have a duplicate. So if we take this face and we delete it, we can see that it's actually on the inside. So it's very peculiar that this is happening. So let's actually just go to mesh display and click on reverse. This is very curious to me. All right, let's see. Little white type history. Because we can clearly see that the material is on the inside, you see? In there, we can see the gray. And the way to check it, if we change that color, if we change that color to red, see? You can see that the material is on the inside. That should be fixed when we reverse the faces. For some reason, it's refusing to be fixed. So in Maya, and as with all softwares, you have to be patient, right? Aha, fixed it. Did you see that? If you're in doubt, just go on the internet and it will help you. So what happened was that the H normal was not, we were correct in saying that it should be going, it should be following, the material should be following the normal. So it should be facing outwards. But the material was not reacting that way as we knew. So now if we change this, see, now that's fixed. Okay. So if I'm already identifying an issue with this model, and it's because on that end, it's very good, to be honest. I have to say that Riam did a very good job in modeling this, because most of this looked like a very clean geometry. We're using triangles. It might also be an export-import issue. Triangles are okay, but it's preferable to use quads, meaning instead of this being a triangle, it's better that that polygon ideally would be four-sided, meaning quad. Okay, so whenever you can, try to always model using quads. Quads will give you, the problem with triangles is that when you're doing a smooth operation, the triangle will be more bumpy. A quad would give you a better geometry later on. But triangles are okay. Quads are better, but triangles are okay. An issue would be if you have more than a quad or less than a triangle. So either always try to stay, when you're modeling, not NURBS, we're doing polygon modeling. When you're doing polygon modeling, stick to triangles as your minimum, but quads should be your friend. So quads are always better. So quads. Okay. So that's, if I click on the number 4, I get to see the wireframe. And in the wireframe, you can see that it is, you can see the color of it. If I click on 6, obviously we still need to fix these two pieces of geometry, but I'm going to show you here. This is where I'm saying that there is an issue, because that seam should not be there, right? That's an unnecessary bit of geometry. And this is a tricky thing, because the way that I asked Riam to model this is that she actually modeled it on a flat surface. So she started with a flat surface, which was defined, you know, think of like a flat piece of sheet, right? And then that got turned into the cylinder, right? That got turned into the cylinder. And what we're looking at there is the seam where the flat surface was bent, and then that seam is visible there. When we do processes like that, it's very important to fix that, because we don't want any seams at all. So to clean up that geometry, we would have to rebuild some of it. I'm curious to see if it's watertight. This is another issue that you guys have to think about when we're doing the 3D printer. It's water tightness. So that's why we don't want any kind of open seams. We don't want any vertex that are not welded. Everything needs to be watertight, because when you're 3D printing the object, the printer will be producing all the layers, and that has to be completely watertight. And so that's I think I'm already anticipating that issue when if we try to print this object. So the way to check that is by going into the vertex mode. And because this is quite a complex geometry, it might not be so easy to see, right? So let's just keep working on this one. See, those two bits of those vertices, they need to be together. So there's one thing that I like doing, and it's you go to display, you go to polygon, and see, wait, give me 1 second. UI elements, settings, preferences. Yeah, it's the heads up display. So in the heads up, we go to display, heads up display, and I like to turn on the poly count. That gives you this. It gives you the amount of vertices that you are selecting, right? So see, that is showing a 0. So if I select this 4, it tells you that you have 4 vertices on that one. Ideally, you only want 2 on that case, because that should be watertight. And I'll illustrate my point now. If I move that vertex, it's not affecting this one, right? And that's an issue. So what we have to do is bring this point. I'm gonna hold the V key on the on my keyboard and middle click to that. Okay. I'm going to do the same with this. You can see that I only selected 1. It's much better if you're selecting vertices to make sure that there's nothing behind you, right? Because otherwise, if you're when you're doing this window selection, then you have vertices that are behind that one, and you select them, then you're going to be moving objects at points that you don't want to. So I click on V again, middle click, and I put it on that one, right? So now I know that those 4 vertices, see, 4 vertices, they're sharing the same position in 3D space, right? And that will allow me to do this. I hold the shift key, right click, and then I go here, merge vertices, and then merge vertices. And then what happens is that now, instead of 4, I have 2 vertices. So if I select this one and I move it, you see that now, that's watertight. That's completely watertight. And then if we print it, even when we print it, we're not going to have an issue with the solidity of the object. So then we have to do the same. I mean, we'd have to do the same for each and every one of those points, right? So I think that might be something to be done by someone else, not me. Okay. I think that might be a good exercise for someone in our office. I'll do a bit so that you guys can see how it's done a few more times. Okay, so I go here, I get close to it. If I select, okay, if I select a group of vertices, whatever it is, and I click the letter F, the camera will get close to that, okay? It's close to that selection. And now you see that we have 10 vertex there, right? And we need to have only 5. Because again, if we move, see, if I move this, it's not affecting the left side. So that's not a watertight geometry. So basically, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to select this vertex, middle click, V on the keyboard, and I will drag that to where it should be. And then I'll do the same one with this one, V on my keyboard, middle click to the other one, and we got it there. I'm going to click 4 because see, if I were to select that vertex there, I would be selecting 55, and we don't want to do that, okay? So it's very important, as always, to be very organized with your work. So click on 4 so that you see the wireframe of the object. You click on the letter V again, middle click to the other one. Same thing for this one. Middle click. And then here, V, middle click. So now instead of 10 vertices, we still have 10, right? Because we still need to merge them. But now we know that they are sharing the exact same position in 3D space. So if we were to move this one, you can see that there's 2 vertices, but they're moving together. That is the most important thing for an Atmanox object. So we select all of them, and you see on this number we have 10, but we do Shift, we hold Shift, we press the right click of our mouse, merge vertices and merge vertices. And now we have 5. And that is thing of beauty, because now that is a watertight object on that side. And we have to keep doing that, or you guys are going to have to keep doing that in this object many, many more times. I'll do a few more. Okay, so we go down here and we see this mess that we have over here, right? With experience, you're going to start to identify geometry very quickly. So here now, first of all, I'm going to save this file because we don't want to lose what we've done. And so we're going to click on this vertex, V, and middle click, and then again, V, middle click. And now we have 4. What can we do? We can do the merge vertices thing. And then what that does, because we had, if we want to check this, that should be only one edge, right? Because we merged those vertices together. So if we were to move that, see, that's moving everything. So that's good. There's no holes. And if we go to the interior side of the model, see, I am identifying another issue with this. That face shouldn't be there, right? When you are, when you have an object, the interior side of the object shouldn't have any faces, because if you were to print this is going to be a mess. So you have to delete those faces that are on the inside of the object, and you just select those faces and select the other one and just delete them. See, now that's a thing of beauty. So water tightness. Imagine if you think of this as a vessel, and it's being filled with a liquid, it shouldn't have anything between the external faces. Okay, good. So now we keep checking this geometry. So it's always good to check the geometry from the outside and from the inside. See, there's something weird here going on. We need to check that. And that's this internal face. That must be deleted as well. Don't want that. Don't want that. And we definitely don't want this one. So now we can see a beautiful transition of geometry, right? And if we click on that, it's only 2 vertices. That's very good. Okay. So I think we should move this vertex, just for aesthetic purposes, a bit further back, because that was sticking out too much. Okay. So again, even though it looks good, we know that we would have an issue with that seam. I mean, it's quite visible there that the printer will have a very big problem. And you can already see that the top part that we're fixing already looks better than that. That's clearly an issue of water tightness. Okay, so we have to keep going. So click on, let's check on the outside of this. Okay, let's check this group here that they're looking a bit weird. See what happened there? I selected this vertex, but also this one's over here. This is what I'm telling you. You have to be very careful with your selection. So we click on this, press F, and then we can see that we have 5, right? And that looks good. It's it looks bad because the next ones are still not correct. And also there's like an issue over here that I'm going to check right now. I think it might just be this face. Yeah, see, we have a weird face here going on. We just delete that. Yeah, if we go on the inside, yeah, this is what's happening. We're getting those nasty faces on the inside. Yeah, all of those, they need to be deleted for the same reason I explained earlier. Okay, one thing that I like to do is to go on the modify I want to go on the settings. There we go, settings and preferences. And in preferences, I like to go to this little option here called selection. And in selection, I always like to select faces with only the center. When we do that, we see that now we can only select the faces with a center, meaning that bit there. Because when I was scrolling, you know, when I was hovering my mouse, I kept selecting faces that are not the ones that I'm looking for. That also allows me to see where we have a face. I'm just bothered by this thing hanging out here. I'm trying to figure out what it is. So I can see that that is, okay, it's a face that's going all the way down here. And when I click on it, you'll see it's actually all the way down here, see? But I want to make sure that that's a face that I can't delete. It's not going to mess my geometry too much. And to be honest, I don't think it will, because I can fix that. The good thing about this is that it's almost like playing with clay. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna turn the normals off because I don't want to see. We already know that the normals are fixed. So mesh display and sorry, on display, I don't want to see the face normals. I need to select the object again, polygons, face normals, and then I got rid of all those lines. I'm gonna click on save. Yeah, we have to keep fixing this. Yeah, I think a faster way of doing this will be to delete a lot of stuff that we don't want. So just gonna delete a few of these faces just to make it faster. So see, to select the face, I have to click on that square. And then I delete that. I'm also gonna delete that edge there because I don't want that much resolution at that scene. So we don't really need that. So I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna keep going down and identify those faces. I'm gonna delete them. Keep going down, identifying those faces, delete them. Keep going down, identify those faces and delete them. Lisa, pregúntale a la gente de BM Cargo del printer, por favor. A ver si lo trabajan hoy, a ver si lo traen hoy. Gracias. So yeah, by deleting these faces that are actually unwanted, right? Because we know that we don't want that. I'm simplifying the geometry. So when I'm gonna close that seam, you know, like I only need 1 point, 1 vertex on this side and 1 on this side. So I don't need this ones, for instance, right? Like, we don't want that. I think a way to fix this would be to make this faster. What I would do is that I would model this on a flat surface, but I would not extrude that face, right? So keep it just as a planar surface, the first thing. So you keep that as a planar surface, meaning that it no thickness. And then that I would make it into the cylinder. You make the planar surface the cylinder. And then you close the seam. You close the seam of the cylinder with it just having a planar surface. So still no thickness. Still no thickness. And once you close that seam, then you extrude it and you create the thickness of the material of the object. Because doing that will, you know, it will be a lot easier to close the seam if this only had one face as opposed to 2 sides. So always think of how can you do the same process? How can you do it again in a faster way, right? So that would absolutely be a way forward for this, because you don't want to be wasting time. And yeah, this can definitely be done faster if we only had one side to deal with. Because I would just select the whole thing, delete all of those faces, and then just do it. I'm going to do it like that. So if I go to the top view, click on F, and I can see those geometries. So if I click on 4, Jesus Christ, if I do a selection like this, I'm only selecting because of the center selection option. I'm going to try to do it narrower. So like this, or even more like this. Okay, let me see how. Yeah, I'm going to get really tight and just select that. And then see, I've selected. Yeah, I've selected many. Yeah, see? So that's a very nice trick to select it from the top view. And I know that I'm checking it. I know that I don't want any of those. So I click on delete. And that saved me quite a bit of time, right? I'm actually going to do that again because I'm quite certain that this one's I don't want this resolution over here. So if I check on perspective, yeah, I definitely don't want those either, right? So I can go ahead and delete those. So I'm going to go again to top view and select this ones. And I'm quite sure that I don't want them, so I'll delete them. See, now it's looking a lot more cleaner and easier to deal with, because now I can come here. I have less resolution. I didn't want that much resolution there to begin with, right? So now Laura, tú mándate los planos ahora de Noldo. Dale más prioridad a Hacienda. Okay, so we keep doing this. Okay, so see, this are two vertex, so we merge them. And then now you only have one. If I select it, see, you can move them together. The nice thing about Maya is that if you click on the letter G, it would repeat the previous command. So see, I've got 2. If I only press the letter G, I've got 1. Because it repeated the merge. So see, I've got 2, G, 1. Here, got 2, G, 1. So let me explain again. It looks like we have 2 vertices there. I mean, just 1, right? But if I window select, I can see that we have 2. Just to illustrate that again, they're sharing the same position in 3D space, but we actually have 2 vertices. See? We have 2 vertices. So what we're doing is selecting them. We've got 2 vertices, go merge and merge. And then now that's only 1. So if I select it, I can only move 1. See? I can move that wherever I want. And they will move together. See on the back how they are separate. If I click on the V, middle click, bring them together. Then there's still 2, got 2. Press the letter G, because it will remember that I've been merging vertices. That's the previous command that we have stored. So if you look at the history of this object, because we've been merging so many times and deleting so many things, the history of the object is getting too large. And that's not necessary because we don't really want to go back. We know that what we're doing, it's a good thing. So we just go delete by type history, and you see all of those commands were deleted. And that makes the file more efficient. Look at that. So you can barely see the seam now. That's what we're doing. We're deleting the seam so that this is a watertight object. Okay, let's keep checking that. We've got 3 on that. That's because I've selected something else. I'm going to get close to it to inspect it further because we don't want to make any mistakes. See, we're selecting 1 in the back. So the 1 in the back has to go to the back. This one, 2 and 2, we have 4. We can group merge, right? Now we've got 2. Let's keep going up. Here we've got 2. Let's just do the back at the same time. So now we have 2 on the back, 2 on the front, and we merge those vertices together. Same thing. So we're going to have 2. That one we already did. So just need to do the back. Okay, so we know that the top part of this object is pretty deep. That's very, very beautiful. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. We've got 7. And then we go down, we've got 2. We've got 2, 2. Okay, so we've got 2 on the front. This one on the back. Whoa, so much work left. Okay, let me fix that. Just because that it's poking out too much. So you can go ahead and just, well, actually need to make sure that I don't, you see they're both sticking out too much. So I'm just gonna pull them back and make them nice. And this one, pull to the front. And then we'll have less of a thing going on there. So yeah, I can stay in wireframe mode for a while. That comes with experience. You start to identify where which points are which. Wait. I'm gonna delete the history again. Object. 8 byte type history. I am about halfway down. Which I have to say, it's not that bad. Thought it would take a lot longer, but I've kind of I'm into a rhythm now of just doing this, then that, selecting this, selecting that. Okay, I thought I was going to go do a bit of it, but now I'm tempted just to finish it. All right, let's finish up quickly. Oh, almost done. Okay, now let me hope this is a watertight. Oh, found one. Ah, on the other openings here. Oh, okay, good. Okay. Now that is very solid geometry. So I click on save and we're gonna go to mesh tools. Okay, I'm actually gonna export this selection. Okay, I'm gonna test it now on the Cura slicer. Ah, so a slicer is the software that slices the geometry for the printer. And this ultimately Cura is very good at doing that. So software is not opening. So I think that part of this Maya session will be recorded later. Take care.